Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Becomes Saiyan and Has a Massive Harem Part 1. Before we start, please go support DeltaPyrusDragonoid for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. A small change made me evolve. Issei, the current Sekiryuutei, was taking a break after his training session with Kaneko when he suddenly saw a meteorite crash into the forest. Issei, whose curiosity finally got the better of him, went to the place of impact. Upon arriving at the area, one could not believe what was in the crater. Issei. A ship, he said, surprised and excited. The ship then began to glow in a light blue tone, and suddenly a hologram of an elderly man appeared. Man. Whoever you are, this message is transmitted to you because the ship has chosen you as my successor, and it is all the knowledge I obtained by traveling among the vast universe. Use it wisely. I finished saying the hologram to disappear. And then the ship shone brighter and a powerful beam of celestial light hit Issei's body, but he did not receive any damage. Instead, the ship began to disintegrate in the beam, as if the ship entered Issei. From the lightning, after a few minutes, the lightning dissipated and Issei fell to the ground unconscious. The last thing he saw was his mistress running to help him. While, in Issei's mind, Issei. Hello? Issei asked into the air, without finding an answer until a column of fire appeared and the red emperor dragon appeared from it. Drag. I asked, surprised at his appearance. Drag. Partner, we have to talk. Issei. What's wrong? Drag. When that beam hit you, it downloaded a lot of information into your brain and transferred many types of energies. Your body and brain could not withstand that action, and you fell unconscious, he said, worrying his bear. You don't need to worry, being damn, it will only be 2 days that you will be KO. He said, relieving Issei, so that his voice had a tone of emotion. I have reviewed a little of the information, and I have to say that what there is incredible. Issei. And what is it? Greg. Hundreds and hundreds of books on combat techniques and much more, he said excitedly. You must understand each book in this enormous library, he said, while in his mind a huge wooden door appeared, which when opened, you could see hundreds of shelves where there were thousands of books. Issei. I have to read all those books, he said with a dull voice. Greg. Don't you want to protect your mistress? I ask Issei, don't you want to be strong? Issei huffed in defeat, only for the dragon to smile. Greg. Inside your mind it will be about 5 years, while in the outside world it will be only 2 days, he informed his bear, and then put on a smile. You will also have to train what you learn in the books, he said, so that the brunette began to turn pale upon seeing the dragon smile, and immediately entering the library. Issei's mind. Library. Issei. Okay dragon, now what do I read first? He asked his partner who was next to him in a smaller form. Greg. On the first shelf is the fighting art section. I recommend that you read that first, he said, pointing to the shelf. We will start with your training plan. During every 3 months, you will study different books from each area of the library, and at the same time at the end of every 6th month, you will train what you have read for another 3 months, said the dragon to see the determined face of its bearer. Well then, let's get to work. Time skip. 2 days after the chestnut fainted Issei's mind. Greg. You have impressed me, partner. You have become really powerful, he said proudly. Issei. Yes, but it has been really exhausting, he said on the ground. His physique was now more noticeable. His muscles had enlarged, his hair had grown to reach his shoulders. Issei's eyes now emanated maturity instead of perversion. Also give yourself some credit, because without your help, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now. Greg. Thank you, he said sincerely when he saw that he was not arrogant, but now you should wake up soon and remember, even if you are powerful, do not trust yourself in any fight. That mistake could cost you your life or someone important to you, he said for Issei to confirm, lifting him up. The thumb. And then Issei vanished from the place. Greg. Who would have thought that you would go from being the weakest Sekiryuutei to the strongest, he said with a smile. Just wait, White, my bear will sweep the floor with yours, he said gloating. Scene change. Room. When she opened her eyes, the brunette found herself in the room of the mountain house. She noticed that next to her was Asia, sleeping next to her. He brushed aside a lock of her hair, which was falling down the forehead. Issei. I'm sorry for worrying you, Asia, he said with remorse, but now I have the power to protect you, he said to get out of bed, being careful not to wake up the ex-nun, and leaving the room. Scene change. Mansion open camp. Issei. Let's try here if what I train in my mind, I can also do it outside of it, he said to bump his fists and generate an orange magic circle, where the center was the head of a dragon. Kiryu no Tekken, he said, so that his hands engulfed in fire and hit a tree, breaking it in half. Well, it seems to work, he said with joy, to realize that someone he knew was watching him. But you, I know you are here. Please come out, he said so that the Grimmery heiress would come out of hiding. Rias. I'm glad you're okay, he said with a smile, and then put on a worried face. Tell me, what happened to you that made you faint? Then Issei told them the half-truth, only about the ship and the lightning. Rias. It's strange that the lightning knocked you unconscious, he said doubtfully. Nothing else happened. She said so that Issei shook his head. Well, the important thing is that you are fine, she said. Issei. By the way, but you, Rias. What's wrong? Issei. Because you hate Razor, no, or rather why are you against marriage? Issei asked him with doubt. Rias gave a sigh. Rias. Because I am a gremory, she said. Issei, she already knew where the shots were going, so he let her continue. Rias. Wherever I go, the demons see me as Rias Gremory, the heir of the Gremory clan, not as Rias, she said sadly. I carry my last name with pride, but I would like them to see me as Rias, she said with some hope. That's why I am in the human world, because here they see me as I am, not because of my last name, he said and then began to tear slightly. My dream is that I want to be with someone who loves me for who I am. Unfortunately, Razor, he only looks at me like the Gremory Rias. And he loves me like Rias Gremory. That's why I hate him. But still, the pride of being a Gremory is very important. It may be a complicated situation, but I want to take care of this little dream I have, she finished with a slight smile of hope. Issei watched Rias fight for her dream, so in the end she let out some words that stayed in the heart of the Gremory heiress. Issei. I don't know anything about the demonic society or the Gremory house, but I like you as I see you, a beautiful and shy girl who has a beautiful dream, which I will protect with my life. Issei finished with a smile toothed, which made Rias' cheeks turn red. But you, are you okay? The brunette said worriedly to his mistress. Rias furiously denied. Rias. I'm fine, she stammered, leaving the brunette in doubt. Issei. But Butchu's rival will be a tough obstacle, he said, so that Rias could interrupt him. Rias. I know, but that won't stop me from beating him and lowering the fumes of greatness that he has, he said with great determination. Issei only gave a smile to the Gremory, who was surprised to see that sincere smile, without any double intention. Issei. I will help you with that. I didn't like his arrogant attitude, he said, so that his smile became wild. I have some new skills that I want to put into practice with him, he said to put Rias in doubt. Tomorrow is the last day, so take the opportunity to rest. Good night, he finished speaking to go to his room. Rias. I have a feeling that you haven't told me everything that happened to you. You just have to see the change you've made, not just physically, he said with a blush as he remembered the words he said. Beginning of the fall of the phoenix. In the courtyard of the mansion, Issei woke up early that day, since he had too much energy since he started training, so he had to exercise to let off steam. Issei. Let's start, he said to take off his shirt and start hitting the wind with fists and kicks. Then he made a series of acrobatic movements to test his agility. But before starting with the serious thing, he felt the presence of his companions and mistress, so he turned around and saw how Asia was looking at the brunette's body with a blush, just like Rias. Kaneko just looked away, hiding an imperceptible blush. Akeno literally ate him with her gaze, and Yumi-wan was fuming at ears while observing the brunette's physique. Hello, he said with a smile and waved, bringing the girls back to reality. Rias was the first to react and return to her serious attitude. Rias. I'm glad you're self-training, Ice, but don't push yourself too hard. We don't want you to get injured before the raiding game, she said with a smile, and then lectured her pawn. Issei. Don't worry, Butchu, I'm more resistant than you think, he said with an air of mystery, leaving Rias with some intrigue, who ignored the intrigue so she would have an idea. Rias. Since you're training, why don't you use the boosted gear? Issei. But you said I couldn't use it in this training. Rias. I said not to use it without my permission, the Gremory heiress corrected, and then looked at her knight. Yumi, will you be her opponent? Yumi. Hi Butchu, she said, taking a bakken and standing in front of the chestnut. I will not hold back, Issei-kun, she said, while brandishing the wooden sword. Rias. Since when does Issei-kun call him? She asked in her mind. Issei. So be it, he said with excitement to show the boosted gear. Come on, he said, so that Yumi could go for it. I won't show all my power, I'll just see how much I need to match it, he thought while dodging Yumi's cuts, feigning difficulty. Yumi. Issei-kun, you have improved, she said excitedly, you can more or less see where I will hit, but she said to disappear from sight, except for the chestnut. It's not enough, she said behind him, to launch a downward slash, which Issei dodged by moving his body to the side minimally, but what she shouted when she saw how he avoided the cut with minimal movements. Issei. My turn, he said, so that the boosted gear gem began to shine in a dark blue tone, so that a torrent of energy surrounded him, creating a layer of the same color as the glow of the gem around him. Tell me, Yumi-chan, he said, drawing his opponent's attention, have you felt the power of the cosmos? He asked with a smile, and then made strange movements with his hands, which made the blue layer begin to grow. Asia. What is Issei-san doing? Asked Rias Bishop, seeing those strange movements. Rias. I don't know, he said, and then saw a constellation behind the chestnut tree. That's the constellation of Pegasus, she said shocked, and then saw how Issei retracted his right fist towards her waist and raised her left one while she opened her hand. Then Issei's right hand began to concentrate the blue energy layer and it emitted a bluish glow. Issei. Pegasus Issei-ken, he shouted to stretch out his right fist and launch a powerful wave that had been concentrated in his hand, which Yumi narrowly dodged, leaving her with a scratch on her right shoulder, and that the wave passed until it reached a mountain, where the attack created a white and blue explosion. Issei. I think I went a little overboard, she said with a nervous smile, so that the CIO members looked at where the attack hit, bringing gasps of shock when they saw what she did. Akeno. The mountain, she said half-heartedly. Asia. Disappeared, he finished the sentence, seeing the area where the attack had hit that now the mountain had no top and a dirt road made its way through the forest to the gap. Yumi. That attack was at the level of a high-class demon, she said as she grabbed her shoulder. Immediately Asia went to help her. Rias. That amount of power is not normal, he said in his mind when he saw the place of impact, and what did that mean about Cosmos? Rias wondered, where in his head there were many unanswered questions. Issei, he said, so that the brunette looked at her. You are a crucial player in this game, he said. Well, the brunette pretended to recover. Your attacking power will be what gives us victory or defeat. You must believe in us and above all, in yourself, he finished. Speak, so that Issei confirmed with his head. Yumi saw how Issei approached and looked at her with concern. Issei. Are you okay? I asked fearfully. Yumi. Don't worry, it's just a scratch, she said, while Asia used Twilight Healing to heal her. Issei. And I worry so much, I shout, surprising Yumi, you are my partner and my friend. I would never forgive myself for hurting you, she said with total concern, which made Yumi blink a couple of times, so that she would then blush. Yumi-chan, are you okay? I asked when I saw that she was blushing. Do I see you're red? Yumi. I'm fine, she stuttered and then denied furiously to get up and plead quickly. Issei. What will happen to him? She said in a low voice, to see how Asia poked her cheeks. Is something wrong, Asia? She asked him, so that she simply turned her face even with her cheeks swollen. I really don't understand women, he said in her mind, and in the boosted gear, Drake gave himself a facepalm when he saw how stupid his son was. Carrier. I'm Skip. Rating game day scene change. Issei's room. Issei. There's only 1 hour left until it starts, she said, between worried and excited. Get ready, Akatori, because I'm going to destroy you, she spoke with conviction, so that knocks could be heard on the door of her room. Who is it? Asia. It's me, Issei-san, Asia said from behind the door. Can I come in? Issei. Sure, he said, so that the door opened and he saw Asia enter with her nun's outfit. Asia, why did you dress like that? Asia. But you-san said that we should wear clothes that we feel comfortable in, she said a little embarrassed. Issei. It's your favorite clothes, right? He said when he saw how Asia lowered her head in shame. What I know for sure is that those clothes look very good on you. Asia. She said a little more embarrassed. Issei-san, can I stay close to you for now? Issei moved from her bed, leaving her space, which she occupied, and hugged the brunette's left arm, resting his head on her shoulder, with a face of slight fear. Issei. Asia. Asia. A fight is about to start. That terrifies me a lot, she said, tightening the hug, but if I'm by your side, I know I'll be fine, she said confidently. Issei-san, she said timidly, from now on, what? Can I always be by your side? Issei. Yes, we will always be together, no matter what happens, he said with a smile, leaving Asia surprised for a few moments, and then he smiled with a light blush on his cheeks, so that blush increased when he saw a beautiful gold bracelet with details. And a brighter gold and 2 rubies decorating the piece. This will protect you, he said confidently. When you are in danger, the bracelet will protect you. Asia took a while to react, to pick up the bracelet and place it on her left wrist. Asia. It's beautiful, she said, looking at the bracelet in detail. Thank you, Issei-san, she said with a radiant smile, which Issei returned. Then Issei looked at his watch, and it marked the time agreed upon with the club, so together with Asia they got up and went to the club. Scene change. CIO. In the club building, you could see how Yumi was preparing a sword, putting it in a sheath, while Kaneko adjusted her gloves. Akeno was having tea like Rias, while when the door opened they saw Asia and Issei, who he was wearing a blue jacket with a shoulder pad on his right shoulder, a red shirt underneath the jacket, on his wrists he had bandages on his left, and on his right he had a dark blue wristband, his pants were jean style, and some brown leather shoes too. Issei. You really are very relaxed, but you, Issei said in a carefree manner. Rias. I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried, she said calmly. Tell me, Ice, what's with that wardrobe change? Issei. What's wrong with it? She asked as she looked at her clothes. Did you like how she dressed before? Rias. No, it's not that, she said, shaking her arms. Your new outfit seems strange to me, she said, looking from head to toe at her pawn, and I have to say that it looks good on you, she whispered, believing that Issei didn't hear her. Issei. Thank you for the compliment, she said with a toothy smile, which left Rias red for having been heard. Then from a silver magic circle that materialized in the salt, the same maid who prevented Rias from trying to lose her virginity with Issei appeared. Rafia. Rias-sama, are you ready? Rias. Yes, we are all prepared, she said calmly. Rafia. Then enter the circle, which will transport you to the battlefield. Issei. Battlefield? Issei asked. Akeno. It is a dimension created specifically for the raiding games. It is outside the normal world, so there you can be as reckless as you want, she said, and then smiled. Issei. So anything can be broken there without anything happening, she thought to put on a malicious smile that did not go unnoticed by those present, who simply ignored. Rafia. By the way, Lucifer-sama will also be watching this battle. Rias. So Ani-sama will see it too, she said to put on a nostalgic expression. Asia. Did you say Ani-sama? Asia asked, somewhat fearful. Yumi. Yes, his older brother is Mao Lucifer, he said, shocking Asia, and to a lesser extent Issei. When the old Lucifer was killed in the Great War, Sekiryuutei-sama named him the new Lucifer, he said to take a breath. He is Butchu's older brother, Sekiryuutei's Lucifer, the Crimson Satan. Issei. This is getting more and more exciting, she said with an expression of excitement, which made everyone drop a drop of sweat on their necks. Rias looked at the time and saw that it was almost time. Rias. It is time, my dear servant, she said with determination. It is time to show both Razor and his entourage that they are not invincible. Let's show them the strength of the Gremory clan. Yumi Akeno Kaneko Asia Issei. Hi Butchu. Then they placed themselves on top of the circle that began to glow red. Rafia. Good luck Rias-sama, she said, so that they would be transported to the place of the confrontation. 1. Yumi is Femkiba in this fanfic. 2. Whoever comments first and knows who the outfit belongs to will be able to choose the ability that Issei will show in the rating game. The only rule is that it can only be from an anime. Rating game part 1. Battlefield. In the club room, the members of the club appeared from the circle. Issei. Asia. We have not moved from the site, said the ex-nun. Issei. The transfer didn't work. Rafia. Please listen, everyone. The maid's voice was heard throughout the place. We welcome you to the Gremory and Phoenix clans. I am a maid of the Gremory clan, Grafia, the voice said. According to the advantages that Razor-sama granted to Rias-sama, the battlefield was created from the school where he attended in the human world, creating an exact replica of the academy. Issei. Reply. Asked the chestnut. Rias. Look outside, that's what her housekeeper said, so Issei obeyed and opened the window. Issei. This is, she said, looking at the sky, which was green, with a kind of aurora in the sky. Yumi. We are in an alternate dimension. Akeno. They created a replica of the academy and placed it in this pocket dimension. Asia. Amazing, she said, looking at the sky. Rafia. The places where they were transported are their respective bases. Rias-sama's base is in the old building, where the occult research club meets. Scene change. Razor, along with her nobility, were sitting in a room that was glowing purple, while he had a look of arrogance. Rafia. While Razor-sama's base will be in the newest building, where the student council meets. If a pawn reaches the enemy base, he or she will be able to promote immediately. Back with the CIO. Issei. I just need to get to the building, and I will be able to promote myself to queen in a few moments, she said while she bumped her right fist with her left palm. Akeno. Ara, that's not so easy, ice-kun, she said, causing doubts to the brunette. Yumi. Remember that this rule works on both sides. If a pawn enters this building, he will also be able to promote himself, she said, clarifying Issei's doubt. We will need someone to stay in the building to protect it. Issei. Thanks for the clarification, Yumi-chan, said the one who unintentionally caused the girl to blush, so that Kaneko gave him a marble that glowed red. What is this? I asked, grabbing the object. Rias. With this we will communicate in battle, he said as the object flew to his ear. Issei. Is this a transmitter? She asked as she placed it in her ear. Rafia. Then let the game begin. With Razor. This will only be a game for you, but don't hold back, he said while looking at his entourage. Destroy them completely. We must put an end to the pride of the red-haired girl, he said with his arrogant air. This stupid game has no meaning. But the CIO. From while the Gremory nobility was making a plan while he looked at a map of the school. Rias. The quickest way to get to the building is through the patio, he said, and then rectified, but surely Razor expected it. Issei. So why don't we go this way, he said, pointing to the gym. From here we can see the building up close. Besides the fact that it is close to ours, it would help us stay informed. Rias. In terms of chess, the gym would be the center, she said while thinking. Whoever controls the center will have the advantage. Then decided, she said, to start giving orders. Kaneko, she said, calling her tower. You, together with Ice, will go to the gym. Kaneko Issei. Hi Butchu. Rias. But before that, Kaneko, you and Yumi will place traps in the grove in front to protect the base. Yumi. Then let's go, she said to leave with Kaneko. Rias. Akeno, after the traps have been set, cast some spells to hide them. Akeno. Understood, she said while bowing. Rias. And Asia, you will stay with me, since you don't know how to defend yourself, and you are the only one who can heal the wounded. If you leave the game, we will have a clear disadvantage. Asia. Hi Butchu-san, said the blonde. Rias. I called her pawn, while she sat on the sofa. Lie down here, she said while she pointed to her legs. Issei looked with doubt and then obeyed her master, who after supporting her head, Rias touched her hair and felt a slight increase in power. Rias. I put a seal on you, which limited the power of the pawns, since I wasn't sure if you could withstand her power. Right now I removed it. You are now capable of promoting yourself. Issei then stood up and looked into Ria's eyes. Issei. Butchu, I will win this one for you, no matter what it takes, she said, while her brown eyes met Ria's blue ones, who had a slight blush that she was able to hide. Rias. I know you will, my dear pawn, she said with a smile. Akeno. But you was what Rias heard from her transmitter. Rias, yes Akeno. Rias answered her queen. Akeno. Preparations are ready. Time skip. Issei and Kaneko were leaving the club heading to the gym when they heard Ria's voice in their transmitters. Rias. Listen, when you get to the gym, the battle will be imminent, so follow my orders to the letter. Issei Kaneko. Hi. Rias. Yumi will take care of the intruders who enter the perimeter, being helped by Akeno, she said, receiving confirmations from those mentioned by the transmitters. My dear servants, we will face an enemy led by the immortal heir of the Phoenix clan, Razor Phoenix, so let's give him the fight of his life. Meanwhile, Asia was in a prayer position. Asia. Issei-san, guys, do your best. Scene change. Gym. Issei. I really don't like hiding, she said quietly as she hid in a curtain on the gym stage. Kaneko. The enemy is already here. Then the gym lights came on. We know that you are here, Grimmery slaves, said a female voice, which made Kaneko and Issei come out of hiding. Issei. But look who they are, he said with a smile. 4 beautiful ladies. I hope they give me a good fight, he said to place himself in front of the girls, and they will tell me their name. Beautiful ones, he said in a provocative tone, hoping to anger them, but he didn't expect what happened next. Shui. I am Shui, a tower of razor Sama, I stutter with a blush. Kira. I am Kira, I'm a pawn, I also stutter, red as a tomato. Meru. I am also a pawn, my name is Meru, she said, speaking brokenly, with a blush on her cheeks. Issei. And you are Mira, he said, surprised to the aforementioned, also a pawn. Look. How do you know, she said, surprised and blushing. Issei. How could I forget you? You hit me with your bow the first time we met, she said, so that the aforementioned woman began to connect the dots, and when she realized who she was quite surprised. Now do you remember who I am? Look. You are Rias Grimmery's pawn, she said, surprising her companions. Issei. And we have a winner, she said jokingly. Shui. It doesn't matter that you have changed your appearance, you are not stronger than Mira, she said, avoiding looking Issei in the eyes. Issei. Let's see, darling, if what they say about you is true, she said gallantly, which made the pawn blush again. Kaneko. Issei-senpai, stop flirting with the enemy, she reproached her classmate who only shrugged her shoulders. Issei. Well, Kaneko-chan, you go for the tower, I go for the pawn, she said to materialize the boosted gear. Greg. Boosted Dragon's voice echoed in the gym. Issei. I hope you give me a good dance, she said with a confident smile, so that the battle could begin. While in the grove, you can see how 3 pieces of Razor's nobility were in the middle of a fog bank so that they could hear Ubaluna, Razor's queen, from their transmitter. Ubaluna. Marion, Villant, Sharia, report, the queen said calmly. Villant. We are close to the enemy base, but there is a very thick fog, she said, so that Razor's queen cut the communication. Sharia. We must be careful, they will surely have set traps, she said looking around. And as if it had been bad luck, a magic circle appeared in the forest, from which daggers of crimson energy came out, which they dodged by jumping. Sharia. A trap. Villant. This will be child's play, said the blue-eyed girl of the group, confident. Marion. It seems quite interesting to me. Then another trap was activated, which also had no effect on them, but without realizing that a barrier was formed in the sky. Are you sure this will be like child's play for you? Said a female voice that came from some trees, which belonged to Yumi, who came out with a sword in her hand. Sharia. Do you think you can defeat the 3 of us? I asked with some arrogance. Yumi. Let's see it, she said challengingly, to start another fight. Back in the gym, Shui launched kicks and punches wrapped in fire towards Kaneko, who dodged or deflected them with mastery, while with Issei, he was fighting with Mira and the twins, who launched blows and thrusts with his cane, which were avoided by the brunette with a minimum of movement. Look. Stop moving and fight, she said to launch a thrust, which Issei did not dodge, but what happened surprised the pawns. The staff broke when it hit Issei when it touched his stomach. Issei. If that's what you want, she said relaxedly, you know, I'll give you some advantage, she said, while making the boosted gear disappear. I won't use my sacred gear against you. Look, I explode in rage. Look. Don't underestimate me, she said so that she could take out another bow from a magic circle and launch herself at Issei, who in her hand was gathering energy, which, when it became visible, seemed to rotate. Kaneko stopped the fight when she felt that energy. Kaneko. Is that it? She asked, shocked to herself that Shui tried to kick her and she blocked it, and at that moment, she punched him in the face. Issei. Rasengan, I shouted so that the sphere touched Mira, who was pushed back, where she collided with Akira and Meru, being pushed to the wall. Finish, she said, while she wiped her hands. And you, Kaneko-chan? Kaneko was on top of Razor's tower, bound and gagged. Kaneko. I have also finished Issei-senpai, she said with her neutral voice, but with a touch of impression. Suddenly her transmitters, Ria's voice began to be heard. Rias. Ice, Kaneko, how's everything going at the gym? Issei. Great, we defeated all of Razor's pieces that were in the place. Rias. Then continue with what was planned. Rias ordered his pieces from the transmitter. Akeno's preparations are now ready. Issei looked at Kaneko and she nodded so that the two left the building. Shui. Are you going to run away? I asked shocked. This battle is not over yet, are you going to abandon your honor? Issei, along with Kaneko, at the moment of leaving the building, the sky became cloudy and yellow lightning came out of the clouds, so that a yellow magic circle appeared in the sky, and a lightning bolt came out of it and hit the building, destroying it. Raphia. Razor-sama's 3 pawns and 1 rook have been removed. Issei. Wow, Issei said impressed. Kaneko. The name by which they know Akeno-senpai in the underworld is the Priestess of Thunder. Her name and her abilities are known by all the demons. He finished speaking to see how Akeno had a satisfied smile and a blush on the cheeks. Issei. Akeno-san, you are amazing, she said from the ground, causing a slight increase in Akeno's blush. Kaneko. Issei-senpai, let's go with Yumi-senpai, said the white-haired girl, so that Issei smiled and nodded, but before moving Issei grabbed Kaneko and jumped. Issei-senpai said a little nervous, but with her usual expression. Then in the place where Kaneko was there was a powerful explosion. Issei. Almost, she said with a sigh and then looked at Kaneko. Are you okay, Kaneko-chan? He said looking into the eyes of the white-haired girl who came down from Issei's arms, hiding a blush. I'm glad you're okay, he said with a smile and then looked at the sky seriously to see the Queen of Razor with an expression of annoyance while floating in the sky annoyed. Ubaluna did not respond to the question. Issei. Is that a yes? Or a maybe? She said so that Ubaluna would cast another spell that generated another explosion. Ubaluna. That's what you get for trusting yourself, child, she said and then laughed, which didn't last long, to see how the flames began to diminish, heading towards Issei's mouth. Issei. These are the flames of a phoenix, she said and then spit on the ground. They taste horrible. If you want I will show you what real fire is, she said with a confident smile. Akeno. Ice-kun, leave it to me, she said, standing in front of Razor's queen. Now go with Yumi, I'm sure she will need you. Issei. Okay, he said resignedly, but give him a good beating for Kaneko-chan. Akeno. Hi, she said as Issei and Kaneko left. Ubaluna. I have wanted to fight you for a long time, Priestess of Thunder. Akeno. Ara, I feel honored, she said as a yellow aura covered her body. Bomb queen, she said, so that Ubaluna was surrounded by a purple aura. Graphia. 3 of Razor-sama's pawns have been removed, said Graphia. Issei. Yumi must have finished with the pawns, she said with a smile, so that as they moved forward, they would meet the aforementioned Yumi-chan, she said, so that the named one would blush because of the suffix. It seems that she has done well for you, Yumi. Yes, thanks to Akeno-sen's barrier, it was very easy to defeat them, she said with a smile, and you didn't do too badly either. Kaneko. We ended up with a rook and 3 pawns, she said with a small smile, thanks to Issei-senpai, who easily defeated the pawns, she said, while the brunette scratched the back of his neck in embarrassment. Issei. It wasn't that bad, you also did your part by defeating the tower. Rias. Ice, Yumi, Kaneko, do you hear me? Kaneko. Loud and clear, but you. Rias. Well, Asia and I will make a surprise attack on the enemy base, so distract Razor's pieces to give us some time, he ordered his pieces. Issei. Understood, we will buy you as much time as possible. Yumi. Well, for now we have defeated 6 pawns and a rook. If the math works out, we have to defeat 9 more, including Razor, she said, but before anyone could speak a voice was heard from outside the room. His hiding place. Carloman. Knight of Rias Gremory, I am Carloman, Knight of Razor-sama, I challenge you to a sword duel, said the voice belonging to the named Carloman. Yumi. If you have challenged me to a duel, my honor as a knight prevents me from rejecting that request, he said coming out of hiding, taking out his sword from the sheath. Knight of Razor Phoenix, I accept the duel, he said to position himself in front of Razor's piece to begin the duel of swordsmen. Issei. Kaneko, go with Butchu, I'm sure she will need your help, she said to her partner, who hesitated for a moment to nod and leave. Isn't there any rival for me? She said to the air. Isabella. Yes, you do have someone to fight, said a girl to come out from behind a tree. I'm Isabella, Tower of Razor-sama, tell me what is your name? Issei. If a beautiful lady wants to know my name, I will say it, she said, making Isabella blush. I am Hyodou Issei, Rias Gremory's pawn, she said. Who would think that Rias-sama's pawn would change so much in such a short time, said a blonde girl, with curls and a pink dress, which looked very expensive, although, to tell the truth, you're not that bad. Issei. When a beautiful young girl tells me, it makes me very happy, she said without flinching to the girl in the pink dress. Tell me, what is your name? She said, placing herself in a fighting stance while she invoked the boosted gear. Ravel. My name is Ravel Phoenix, she said bowing, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I won't fight, she said, causing Issei doubts. Isabella, she said, so that the girl in the biker suit started walking in the direction of the chestnut tree. Isabella. I hope you give me a good fight, she said to get into her fighting position and run for Issei. Pawn of Rias Gremory, she shouted to start exchanging punches with Issei, who deflected them all. Issei looked with boredom at that painful display of strength, it was so much that he yawned with a bored expression. Issei. I'm bored, he said, causing Isabella's anger. I will teach you what a real punch is, he said, so that her body emitted a golden aura while he retracted his right hand. Tell me, Isabella the first, asked Razor's Tower, have you ever felt the cosmos? He asked the question while her hand began to produce yellow electric arcs. Yumi. Show them your power, ice-kun, she said as he continued fighting Carloman. Issei. Atomic thunderbolt, she exclaimed, so that a series of balls of electrical energy came out of her right hand, which Isabella could not dodge, receiving the attack at 100% of her power to create a very dense cloud of dust. Well, with Yumi, in the duel it was very even until Yumi's sword broke before Carloman's fiery sword. Yumi. It's a good sword, she said. Carloman. Flattering me won't do you any good. Yumi. Then how about this? Freeze, she said, so that the blade of her sword would turn into ice, so that, when it broke, another sword would be seen, made of white metal. Carloman. Do you have 2 sacred gears? Yumi. Not only is it one, it allows me to create any magical sword. This is my sacred gear, sword birth, she said, so that different sword blades came out of the ground, which Carloman dodged by jumping. Back with Issei. After the cloud dissipated, Issei saw Isabella that she was standing, barely. Isabella. What was that? She said, to fall to the ground unconscious, so that a blue light enveloped and dissolved into particles. Raphia. A tower of Razor Sama has been removed. Issei. You have my respect for having endured my technique, he said with a smile, and then looked at Yumi. It's time to end this, he said to himself. To materialize the boosted gear, Yumi-chan releases your sacred gear, he said, so that she would stick her sword into the ground. Yumi. Sword birth, I shouted, so that a celestial light was enveloped in the ground. Issei. Good, she said as she put her fist on the ground. Reg. Boost, boost, said the dragon from the gem, so that the celestial light of the ground was absorbed by the gauntlet transfer. He spoke again, so that hundreds of leaves came out from the ground that impaled Razor's pieces. Raphia. 3 pawns, 2 rooks and Razor Sama's bishop have been removed. Raphia reported again, only for an explosion to sound on the field. Issei noticed and looked at the place where the explosion came from, only to see Akeno fall from the sky, her clothes torn as he dissolved into blue particles. Raphia. Rias Sama's queen has been removed. Issei. They defeated Akeno-san, he said without being able to believe it. With laughter, Rias was with Asia and Kaneko on the roof of the new building facing Razor, only to hear Graphia's information. Rias. Akeno, she said, shocked. Razor. You were left without your right hand, my dear Rias. Rias. Yumi and Issei are still there. Razor. That's what you would like, she said with her arrogant smile. With Issei. Issei was absorbed by that fact. He didn't see how another explosion passed by him. Issei. Yumi-chan, he said, already recovered, to see how his partner dissolved into blue particles. Raphia. Rias Sama's knight has been retired. With laughter. Rias. Yumi. Razor. Surrender now, Rias, otherwise your bishop, your rook and your beloved pawn will be wounded, he said, while his face was healed with flames. Back with Issei. The brunette was shocked, since he could not save his partner, remaining static in the same place where she was defeated. Ravel. You took yours, Ubeluna. Ubeluna. The queen of Rias, she is as strong as they say, so I had to use it, he said while taking out a small vial. Ravel. Even so, it counts as a victory, she said with a smile. I knew I could count on you, she said, but then she began to feel an incredible pressure and murderous intent, which, upon searching for the origin, she saw that Issei's gaze remained static, hidden in her hairstyle, while around her, thick rays of black energy with red edges began to emerge. Issei's mind. Issei. Where am I? She said, finding herself in a city, right on top of a building. Hello, my king, said a female voice, and when Issei looked for the place where it came from, he found a girl with white hair, as long as Rainer's. Her skin was pale white, her eyes were yellow with white sclera. Black, she was wearing a beautiful black dress, which reached her knees. Issei. Who are you? I asked the girl, what is this place? Right now we are in your inner world, he said, causing Issei doubts the world inside your mind, a place where Drake cannot enter, he said, and then put on a seductive smile. That means we will be alone, he said, while he approached with a sway of his hips, very exciting, which made the brunette blush, and after remembering where he was he reacted. Issei. How do I get out of here? He asked, avoiding looking at the girl. It's your mind, you can leave it whenever you want, he said with some disappointment. But before you leave, he said, approaching him, to give him a kiss on the lips. This is a small preview. If you want to master everything my power, we will have to fight, he said with a perverted smile, which Issei did not understand the meaning. To begin to fade, I hope you give me a name. My dear king, he said with a whisper when he saw him disappear. In the rating game, Issei. Ray-Aig, he shouted with all his fury, so that the black rays with red edges covered him and releasing a powerful shock wave, which pushed everyone to the ground. Rias, Asia and Kaneko. Rias. Ice, he said from the ground, looking at his pawn with great concern. Asia. Issei-san, she said, very worried about the chestnut. Kaneko, he didn't say anything, but in his expression and look you could see great concern. Back with Issei, the strange energy began to dissipate to see that Issei had changed. His skin was now white, his head looked like a helmet that had a strange pattern, along with two horns that pointed forward. His face had no lips, revealing his teeth. On his neck you could see that he had a kind of red down, his clothes had been torn, leaving only his pants. What really worried Rias was that he had a hole in the center of his chest. Rias? Ice? He asked with fear when he saw that being, who only turned around and, surprising all the spectators, nodded his head. Issei. Yes, but you, he said with a double voice. I was really surprised that I have this power, he said while looking at his hands, and then grabbed a sword that Yumi created before disappearing. With this power I will avenge the fall of Akeno-san, and Yumi-chan said, emanating a red aura. Rating Game Part 2 and Duel. Boom. Ubaluna, hoping that Issei would not expect it, launched a powerful explosion in the place where he was, leaving a large cloud of smoke, so that, unfortunately, Issei was unharmed when the smoke dissipated. Issei. You call that an explosion? She said with indignation. I will teach you what that word means, he said to point his horns towards the Queen of Razor, so that a sphere of red energy with white details was formed between the two horns. Zero shouted, so that the sphere became a beam of red energy, which Ubaluna partially dodged, leaving her injured. The beam continued on its path until it collided with the limit of the dimension, creating an immense explosion, which in turn created a great shock wave, which destroyed everything in its path, and a mushroom of smoke, which rose in the green sky of the dimension. Issei. This is a real explosion, remember that, he said, so that the queen was dissolved into blue particles. Graphia. Razor Sama's queen has been removed, Graphia's voice said. The now pale-skinned brunette looked towards the ceiling, seeing Razor, who looked at him with fear, so that Issei would disappear from everyone's sight. Issei. Sound, he whispered to appear in front of Razor, leaving Rias, Kaneko and Asia behind him. Razor. How did you get here? From where the ground, he said fearfully. Issei. I used my displacement ability. Sound, that is the name of that technique, he said with his deep voice. That scared the Akatori the most. Now I will teach you some humility, he said, so that suddenly his body began to crack. Damn, it seems like this is all the power he gave me, he said, so that his body broke and separated, as if it were a shell from where Issei's original body was. Razor. Now he thought to throw a flame at Issei that he could not dodge, giving rise to a powerful explosion, from which Issei did not escape unpunished, barely standing. Issei. Drag, I need help, he said from his mind to the dragon sealed inside him. Drag. Impossible, partner, the transformation you had destabilized all the energies of your body and stressed your body. If I give you augmentations, your body will be destroyed, he said in the mind of the brunette, who only felt helplessness, so that Razor then told him started hitting without being able to react. Razor. What's wrong, commoner, he said, giving him a hook that lifted him off the ground. Where is that bravery from before, he said to grab his foot and slam it against the ground. You know, I was really afraid of losing, he said, so that his face had an expression. Angry me, the great Razor, fearing losing because of a pawn, he said, punching her repeatedly in the face. I will make you ask for mercy, or else I will kill you. I finished speaking to grab her hair, lifting her head. Issei. I'd rather die standing than live on my knees, he said to spit in her face. Razor. So be it, shout to prepare a fireball. Rias. Stop, Razor, he said, throwing himself into the arms of the phoenix. You win. I give up, he said with a whisper, and then looked at Issei, who was losing consciousness. Thank you for defending me, Ice. It was the last thing the brunette heard, only to see Rias let out tears. After that everything turned black. Issei's mind. Issei. Bucky-ear, he shouted from the dark space where he was. If it hadn't been for that power, he would have been able to save Butchu, he said with great guilt. I'm sorry, my king, said the voice that belonged to the girl, who materialized in space, but it was the only way you could evolve. Issei. Evolve? He asked furiously. What the hell are you talking about, he said while tears came out of his eyes. Greg. Partner, the girl is telling you that that transformation was the trigger to start fighting with all your potential, said the dragon, also appearing in space. Issei. What do you mean? When you started training, the energy itself put limiters on you, which protected your body, said the girl. In total you had 10 limiters, but that transformation broke the first seal. Now you will be more powerful than before. Issei. But I don't feel any change. Greg. You have to accept her, he said to point his paw at the girl. Now I'll leave you alone, I want to sleep, she said, so that a flash of fire would make him disappear. Issei. This guy really only likes to sleep, she said heavily, and then looked at the girl. Tell me how I can accept you. You just have to give me a name, she said. It is the way in which we will create a bond, by which the seal will be broken, and you can use that power that you used before. Issei. A name, she said to think. I know, she said, intriguing the girl. Your name will be Shiroham. Shiroham. It means the white princess, she said with a slight blush. I like it, she said with a radiant smile, to kiss Issei for the second time, who this time reciprocated the kiss. Thank you, my king, for this beautiful name. Now you must leave this dream and defeat that cheap copy of the phoenix, he said, so that the brunette closed his eyes and his body turned into particles. Real world. Issei was beginning to have a twitch in her eyes, so that she would open them and see that she was in her room. I see that you have finally woken up, said Graphia, appearing in a magic circle. Issei. But you lost the rating game, right? Graphia. That's right, she said seriously. Lucifer-sama sent me to give you this, she said, giving him a paper with a symbol in addition to a message. He tells her that, if you want to save Rias-sama, go to her wedding in 2 days, she said, and then bowed. Now with your permission I leave. She finished speaking to leave just as she came, and like her Issei also disappeared. Time skip. Wedding day scene change. Underworld. Demon. If anyone wants to oppose this union, let them speak now or remain silent forever, he said, looking at the betrothed. Razor smiled victoriously, while Rias had a vacant expression since she thought that no one would save her, so that then a miracle would occur. The entire room began to feel an incredible pressure, and suddenly the door opened violently, so that in the frame Issei could be seen with clothes identical to those from the rating game. Issei. I object. Razor just looked at him with hatred. Razor. How dare you interrupt my wedding, she said with contempt. Guards, finish him. The guards of the Phoenix house surrounding the chestnut tree came armed with spears and swords, but it only made Issei look at them with disappointment, and a golden glow came out of her body. Issei. Lightning plasma, he shouted at the top of his lungs, so that the aura of his body became a discharge of rays of light, which hit the demons without them being able to defend themselves. By the time the light show ended, the guards, who levitated in the sky by the technician, fell to the ground, unconscious. Issei. Be grateful that I lowered the power, because if I had done it seriously, there wouldn't be even an atom of you left, she said with her eyes closed, impressing those present. I have come at the request of Lucifer-sama. I'm glad you came, Sekiryuutei, said a person coming out of the crowd. He had red hair, darker than Rias. He was wearing a violet and grey tunic with gold edges and decorations, and underneath a white and grey suit with edges. And violet belt. Razor. What does this mean, Sekiryuutei-sama? Sekiryuutei. This is an event that I have planned, he said, so that everyone could look at the current Lucifer dragon against Phoenix, a stellar combat. Don't you think it is a great spectacle? He said as he raised his arms. Razor. I already beat him once, if what you want is to lose humiliatingly again. He said half-heartedly, because he received an electric shock. Issei. Oops, I got out of hand, he said sarcastically, causing Razor's anger, who silenced him to let Sekiryuutei speak. Sekiryuutei. Well, young Sekiryuutei, what do you want as a reward if you win this duel, he said, so that the older demons began to murmur. Issei. Let the marriage between Rias Gremory and Razor Phoenix be cancelled. Sekiryuutei. So be it, but Razor being the party that has a lot to lose, he can choose a rule, he said, so that the Phoenix put on an arrogant smile. Razor. My rule is that he cannot use the form I use in the rating game. I speak arrogantly, thinking that, without that form, he could not beat him. Issei. If that's how you want it to be, go ahead, he said confidently. Sekiryuutei. Then let the duel begin, he said, so that 2 magic circles appeared below the opponents and transported them. Battlefield. Razor. Now no one can stop me from beating you up, he said with his typical arrogant smile. Issei. Do you really think I need that transformation to defeat you, he said looking at Razor, who was surprised by those words. I will show you a small part of my power. The entire dimension began to tremble. The rocks around Issei levitated due to the great power that emanated. Razor began to break out in a cold sweat, seeing that colossal power. Then the shaking stopped and the stones stopped in the air. Issei looked down and smiled. Issei. Kaioken, he screamed for a crimson aura to surround him, inflating his muscles, tearing his jacket and shirt. Issei. Get ready, because you're going to taste the taste of humiliation. The most I finished speaking, to disappear from sight and reappear in front of Razor, giving him a powerful blow in the pit of the stomach, which bends him over and kneels due to the force of the punch, so that with an upward kick, he would throw him into the sky. Feel the fire of the dragon, he said, so that his hands would catch on fire. Kiryu no Tekken, he shouted even with the crimson aura, which enhanced the flames, to jump in the direction of Razor, delivering a successful blow to his face, which sent him to the ground at full speed. Razor, who was getting up from the ground, with his wounds already recovered, looked at him with contempt. Razor. That's your best blow, he said, to generate a fireball. What he didn't see was that Issei had red eyes, with 3 commas next to the pupil. Try a flame from the phoenix, he said, throwing the sphere, which Issei deflected with his hand without difficulty. Issei. Is this the fire of the phoenix? Words full of disappointment came out of his mouth. I will show you the power of the phoenix, he said, so that a column of fire was formed in front of him, from which a statue of a bird appeared, made of metal. Phoenix, he exclaimed, so that the statue broke down into different pieces, and the pieces joined with Issei's body, revealing armor. Now you will know the power of a true phoenix, he spoke, to launch a fireball, just like that of Issei. Razor, who was surprised to feel the same energy as his family. Razor. How can you possibly use my family's power, he said angrily, so that Issei pointed to his eyes. Issei. My eyes have the ability to copy any ability I see, it doesn't matter if it is blood, I can copy it using my own magical energy. He spoke, while his eyes changed color to red, with 3 commas next to the pupil. But I think it's time to end this duel, he said, to jump to the sky and move his arms as if he had wings. Get ready, because this will be the last blow. Razor. Imbecile, he said, creating an immense ball of fire. I am the great Razor Phoenix, I will never be defeated, he said, throwing the giant sphere of fire in Issei's direction. Issei. Chhlyokuti super flaming wings of the phoenix, he said, so that an immense vortex of flames trapped Razor. These are the true flames of a phoenix, he shouted, while from his fist he launched a phoenix made of pure fire, which hit Razor, breaking his shirt and leaving him seriously injured. Now you have felt the power of the cosmos, he said, as he slowly approached him. But the spectators. Ravel. Oni-sama, he said, to use his wings of fire and take flight. Battlefield. Ravel appeared, corrected Issei and Razor, looking determinedly at the brunette. Ravel. I won't let you hurt Oni-sama. Issei only looked at Ravel, crouching down to her height and caressing her head and smiling tenderly, which surprised her and made her blush. Issei. It is clear that you love your brother very much, going so far just to protect him. The brunette did not notice that Razor had barely gotten up and was preparing her attack to throw it at Issei, who hugged Ravel and used her body to protect her. Razor. It's over, it's my victory, she said, to see that the cloud of smoke dissipated, where Issei was hugging Ravel, who did not understand what was happening, just as she was blushing from the brunette's hug. Issei. You attacked me, regardless of whether your sister was in the path, she said, looking at him angrily. You are dead, she said, to appear in front of him and grab his right arm to stop him. Crack. Breaking it with a sharp blow, Razor screamed in pain as the wound did not heal. Issei. I'm attacking you using your own flames, so you won't be able to heal. Then, doing a backflip, he fell to the ground to raise his arms and launch a burst of energy that pushed him towards a giant chess piece that was on the battlefield. Razor was barely getting up, his legs shaking from the effort to stand up. Issei. Now what can I do? He said thoughtfully, so that an evil idea occurred to him. I know, he spoke with an evil smile, which scared the Akatori. Get ready, because you are going to live your own nightmares. Genmaken, he shouted for him to move, launching a blow that passed Razor's side. But he remained static, with a lost and empty look, to begin to scream and grab his face. You lose. I win, he finished speaking, to hit the back of his head, and the phoenix fell unconscious. Rafia. The winner is Hyodou, Issei said the voice, so that Issei, Ravel and the unconscious Razor were transported in a magic circle. Scene change. Wedding room. Rias. She shouted, throwing herself into Issei's arms. Thank you, he said, and repeated while he cried with happiness. At that point Sekiryuutei approached the winner to congratulate him on his victory. Sekiryuutei. Congratulations, Sekiryuutei, since the engagement between my sister and Razor was agreed upon, it is annulled, he said with a smile, but can I ask you something? Issei. Go ahead. Sekiryuutei. How come you are so powerful, he said, drawing everyone's attention from what Rias told me. You have only been reincarnated for a few months. Issei. Let me introduce myself, he said. I am Hyodou Issei, Sekiryuutei, guardian of the ship Exile, like the successor of its previous guardian, the Betrayer, he said, impressing all the listeners. The ship was a library, where the Betrayer, I keep all the information that I collected on my travels through the universe when we were training for the raiding game. The ship fell to Earth, where I found it and named me its new guardian. Sekiryuutei. Surprising, so there is life outside the Earth, he said in a low voice. Issei. Now if you don't mind, he said while grabbing Rias in a bridal manner, who blushed at the action. I'm taking the bride, he finished speaking, to disappear from everyone's sight. Scene change. Underworld sky. Issei, who was holding Rias, was flying through the sky of the underworld in a nuptial manner, using his dragon wings. Rias. Thank you for coming for me, she said with a smile, but she spoke to make herself sad. Other commitments will come, and then she didn't finish speaking, because Issei interrupted her. Issei. Then I will fight, and I will fight to come back for you, he said, looking at his mistress. No matter what happens, I will always come to save you. After all, I am and will be your pawn. Rias then faced those words. He could not hold back, and to Issei's surprise, his mistress kissed him, a tender and innocent kiss where the feelings of the grimoire were transmitted. When they separated, Issei had a slight blush on his cheeks, just like Rias. Rias. The first kiss, she said with a radiant smile, is something that the Japanese treasure, right? Issei. See, right, he said. I won't spoil the moment to tell him that it's not my first kiss, he thought, to prove himself right. Arc 2, family, outer space. Ship, computer. We will arrive at Earth 12,055 in 2 hours, said a robotic voice. Perfect, said a male voice with joy. We will see each other soon, brother Keel 1, said the voice, so that then the voice began to snore. Scene change. Issei's room. Issei, who was sleeping like a log, began to open his eyes to meet Issei. Breasts. She said, looking at the breasts that were in front of her face. Why are breasts the first thing I see when I wake up? he asked so that some hands hugged him against her breasts to realize that it was Rias who was sleeping next to her, naked. Rias, upon hearing Issei's voice, began to wake up. Rias. Yawn. Good morning Ice she said with her eyes open and a smile. Issei. Boo good morning he said a little nervously but could you tell me why you are in my room naked? Rias. Well, I saw that you were sleeping and I wanted to sleep next to you, can't I? He said with a tender face. Issei. No, it's not that he said blushing at the face that Rias made I was just surprised to see you next to me. Rias. I just wanted to use your arm as my pillow she speaks to get on top of Issei there is still time, we could stay here, maybe doing perverted things she finishes speaking to kiss Issei's forehead, making him nervous. Issei. Boo but if you say that to a man he said brokenly. Rias. Do you want to attack me? I ask his pawn go ahead, if that's what you want. Issei was as red as a tomato at his mistress's statement, but when he tried to speak, he found himself with a bigger problem. Asia. Good morning Issei-san he said happily from behind the door, it's time for morning training. Issei began to sweat because of the possible mess he had gotten himself into. Asia. Issei-san. He said while knocking with his knuckles on the door are you awake? Issei. I'm awake Asia, I'm getting up now he said nervously could you wait downstairs? He said as a plea I can't let him see me like this, since Butchu moved to live here, it seemed like he was in a bad mood. Rias. Asia, could you wait, both Issei and I have to change he said with a victorious face. Issei. Butchu, because he thought while crying internally, so that the door of the room opened violently, where in the frame was Asia, pouting while seeing Rias naked good morning Asia, he said nervously to look at Asia carefully, shit looks adorable, he thought as he saw Asia puff out her cheeks. Rias. Good morning Asia he said with a victorious smile. Asia. Then I'll get naked too, I'm not going to be left behind he said as he took off his shirt. Issei. This day starts in a strange way he thought, sighing when he saw what he had done in his room. Scene change. Dining room. Issei's father. This is really delicious said Issei's father surprised. Issei's mother. It's true, Rias-san surprises me that a foreigner cooks Japanese food so well. Rias. I've lived in Japan for a long time, so I know how to cook a little. Issei. Really delicious Butchu she said with a smile. Rias. Thank you Ice. Asia, seeing Issei, puffed out her cheeks to pinch Issei's arm, who winced in pain. Issei's mother. I was really surprised that you came to live with us Rias-san, but I never expected you to help me cook. Rias. It's the least I can do for Okasama. Issei's mother. I thank you too Asia-chan, you help me wash and clean, I am really very happy to have you both here. Asia. It's nothing, after all I'm a guest she said with a slight smile. Rias. Okasama, can I have a club meeting at home? Issei. Why is Butchu here? Rias. The building will receive its annual cleaning, so we won't be able to have the meeting at the club he said, so that the brunette would understand, so that the Redeed would realize something by the way, Ice, have you dyed your hair? Issei. No, why? Rias. It's just that you have black hair she said, so that the brunette looked at her with doubt. She then got up and went to the bathroom to realize that she was right, a strand of her hair was turning black, when she came back she saw her parents somewhat nervous. Issei. Otu-san, Oka-san, is something wrong? She said worried. Issei's father. Nothing happens, I just remembered something important she said nervously. Issei. If you say so he said not very convinced, to see the time Asia, Butchu, it's time to go he said, so that those named would also look at the clock and get up, to leave the dishes in the kitchen, take the backpacks, and together with Issei, they went towards the entrance until night, he said with a smile to leave through the door, making his parents sigh. Issei's father. It's the day, right I ask him sadly. Issei's mother. That's right, he must know the truth she said almost on the verge of crying. Scene change. Kuo sky. In the sky of the city it was clear, without any cloud until a fireball fell from the highest sky, to fall in the forest near the city, creating a cloud of smoke and debris. When it cleared it was seen a sphere-shaped spaceship, with 4 legs that kept it upright, had an inscription the Dread Capsule Corporation. When the hatch opened, a tall man was seen, about 1.70 meters tall, with messy black hair, wearing a red-orange martial arts guy, with a symbol on the left chest area that said go. Along with inside a blue short-sleeved shirt, blue wristbands, a blue sash and blue boots with a red line in the middle, and a yellow ribbon to tighten them. This is where they sent you Keel he said to rise to the sky, to see the city it's like my planet he said with a smile, now I must find you, since I need your help he said to fly through the city to find him. Scene change. Kuo Academy. Issei was distracted from class, looking at the sky, so that the teacher would catch his attention. Teacher. Hyodou the teacher called the named one, who turned around and looked at him. I see that my class seems boring to you, why don't you solve this equation he said pointing to the blackboard, so that the whole class could laugh, because Issei was an idiot, so that they were left with their mouths open when they saw that the brunette solved the problem quickly. Issei. Finished he said with a smile, for the teacher to review it. Teacher. It's perfect he said thinking that he was hallucinating. Issei. I just wanted to focus on my studies, so I review every day, and I'm sorry sensei, but something worries me, and that's why I'm distracted, he said, bowing. Teacher. It's okay, but pay attention, and I'm glad you take your studies seriously, he said, so that Issei returned to his desk, while everyone looked at him in amazement. Time skip. End of class. Issei. Are you telling me that there is a rumor about me? I asked Mitsuda and Motohama, who nodded, and which one is it? Motohama. The rumor says that the perverted beast takes advantage of the two one-isamas of the academy, and Kuo's petty said, making Issei stand still, plus it also says that you want to corrupt Sweet Asia. Mitsuda. And the worst thing about the rumor is that it says that you have a yaoi relationship with the Prince of Kuo. Issei. Do you know who started the rumors, he said with a smile that promised a lot of pain that scared his friends. Motohama. Mitsuda. No idea, the two said, a little scared. Issei then felt a very powerful energy, which was also familiar to him, which excited and surprised him. Issei. Drag, did you feel it? He asked the dragon on his left hand. Drag. Of course, partner, that energy is very powerful, but the being that is emanating, it makes only you feel it, he spoke in Issei's mind. Issei. Does that mean he's looking for me? Drag. Surely, Drag said to get Issei excited for a good fight, so he left the academy, where he went to the courtyard and began to emanate his power towards the energy he felt. Scene change. Kuo sky. The person who came out of the ship was flying over the city, making his power come out so that hopefully her brother would feel it. Then, he felt someone raise the power of him to put on a smile. You felt my power, right, brother? He said to pick up speed and go where the energy of his family member came from. Scene change. Academy courtyard. Issei. I see that it caught her attention, she said with a smile, feeling the energy approaching at high speed so that her master and her clubmates would approach him. Rias. I said the Grimoire heiress, what are you doing here? I asked her farmhand, who was just looking at the sky with a smile. Issei. I'm here, she said, to be on guard so that a person would come down from the sky, which was the person who came on the ship. Hello Keel, said the man with a smile. Issei. My name is Issei, not Keel, he said, and who are you? Goku. My name is Son Goku, said the man with Guy, I am your twin brother. Arc 2, the Super Saiyan God is born. Academy courtyard. Issei. Like my brother, I shout without leaving the impression. He is right, Issei, said the voice of Issei's mother, who was behind the group with her husband. Issei. Otu-san, Oka-san, what do you mean? He asked her parents, to be interrupted by Goku. Goku. You do not belong to the human race on this planet, your home planet is planet Vegeta, you belong to the strongest beings in the universe. You are a Saiyan, she said, leaving all the Grimoire in stone. And I am nothing less than your twin brother. My Saiyan name is Kakarot and yours is Keel. Issei was so shocked that he couldn't articulate any words. Issei's father. He is telling you the truth, Issei. The black strands of your hair mean that your blood is being released, he said, causing doubts in the chestnut. We found you in the forest when we were traveling. We saw a strange ship in the shape of sphere, where you were, along with this, he said, to take a photo, where Issei was as a baby, with a baby just like Goku, along with another child with long hair, combed back with a strange armor. The babies were held by a man just like Goku, with a scar on his left cheek, and a woman with a thin and small body with short black hair. Both of them, like the boy, were wearing strange armor. This is your biological family, Issei, when I took you out of the ship. The hologram that had a recorded message jumped out, he said while pausing. Issei's mother. The message was separated in a kind of box, she said, taking out a strange object from her bag, so that a green light came out, from which there was the woman and the man in the photo. Jine's hologram. Hello Keel, said the hologram of the woman, you're wondering who we are, right? She said, pausing. My name is Jine, I am your mother, and the man next to me is Bardock, your father. Bardock hologram. Listen carefully, son, we are sending you to Earth with your twin brother Kakarot, since the tyrant Frieza, the leader of the Interplanetary Trade Organization, has planned the destruction of our planet, along with our entire race. That's why I ask you, together with your brother, to avenge the Saiyans, for our pride. Become strong and avenge ours, the message said, so it would fade away. Issei, she just stared at the place without being able to speak, to be able to react. Issei. That's why I felt that your power was familiar to me, because you are my family, she said without believing it, but, if we are twins, why are you older? And why didn't we fall on the same planet? Goku. My friend told me that you possibly fell into a wormhole that transported you to this Earth, different from the one I went to. When you crossed the hole, time flowed much more slowly, until you came out of it and arrived here, she told him. He explained to his brother, but now I need your help. Birasama, the god of destruction, has come to my planet and said that he would destroy it if no one gave him a fight, he said, making everyone present gasp. Issei. But what do you need me for? Goku. Beerus-sama wants to fight a Super Saiyan god, that's why we need another Saiyan to create him, he said, surprising the brunette. But first we must make you stronger, he said, putting a hand on his shoulder, so that a golden aura covered Goku, while his hair stood up and his eyes turned blue. So that the aura passed to Issei and his hair also stood up, and his eyes went from brown to a sky blue high, he shouted, so that a light golden glow temporarily blinded him. To the people around Issei. When the glow ended, Issei was seen changed. His hair had stood on end, with 2 strands falling in front of his forehead. His previously brown eyes were now blue without pupils. His muscles had swollen, and on his back low had a golden fur monkey tail. The aura that Goku emanated was now emanated by Issei. Issei. Incredible, he said while looking at his hands. I feel like I could tear the sky with my hands. Goku. This transformation is called Super Saiyan. It is a legendary form of our race, where the user's power is multiplied by 50, he said, seeing Issei's face that did not leave the impression. Now we must go, he said, looking at his brother, who was about to reply. Don't worry, it will only be one day, he told his brother, who sighed in relief, so that he nodded, and Goku grabbed his shoulder. Issei. Rias, he said, surprising the aforementioned. I'll be back in a day. Don't worry, he said with a toothy smile, which leaves Rias blushing. Come on brother, he said, so that Goku then raised his left hand and put his index and middle fingers on his forehead. Goku. Ready, he said, to disappear from the place. Scene change. Dragon Ball Earth. Goku, along with Issei, appeared on the deck of an immense yacht, where in front of them were 2 beings. One of thin humanoid shape, with purple skin, and his appearance similar to that of a cat, with pointed ears. He wears black Egyptian clothing with blue gold. The second was a character with light blue skin, long white hair and feminine and elegant characteristics. He was dressed in a maroon-colored tunic, with a kind of black and white cuirass with yellow, orange and white details, and black high-heeled shoes. He carried a blue and yellow staff, which has a black jewel floating on top. Behind Goku and Issei were different people too. Rias. It seems he arrived on time, said the god of destruction. Whis. It seems so, Beerus-sama. Vegeta. Kakarot, said the prince of the Saiyans, who was looking at Issei. This is your brother. He looks like a whippersnapper, he said, making Issei angry, who had the transformation deactivated, that when he obtained the Super Saiyan, his hair changed as well as his eyes, which went from brown to jet black. Issei. Do not judge a book by its cover, sir, said the now raven man. Goku. Let's start with a ritual, he said. Why Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, Goten stood behind Goku. Issei. Put yourself in the middle of Goten and Trunks, he told his brother, who did what he asked, so that then everyone began to release energy. At first the aura remained in each individual. So that Beerus felt a small explosion in each of them, and then they all went into Super Saiyan form, and the aura turned golden, which began to surround them all, so that Goku rose a few centimeters from the ground, and an immense golden glow went out into the sky, where yellow clouds invaded the sky. Beerus. Is this a god? I ask with some emotion. Then the aura around the Saiyans changed to a bluish tone, which caused a powerful blue glow, accompanied by pulses of energy, to appear. Kai. Goku-senshi, said worried. Piccolo. It is totally different from the aura before, said the Namekian in amazement. Beerus. It looks like something will happen. Whis. So it seems, Beerus-sama, said his assistant. The aura is totally different from the first time he faced you. Then the clouds in the sky opened, leaving a hole through which the sky could be seen, which quickly passed from day to night. What happened next was that a beam of red energy fell from the sky, which he gave to Goku, who was absorbed by it, revealing only its silhouette. That the glow itself became much stronger. All those who collaborated with the ritual lost their Super Saiyan form. Rias. Finally being able to face a Super Saiyan god, he said with a smile, as the red light faded. Whis. So it seems. Goku, still levitating, rose higher, so that the red light gave a final glow where Beerus opened his eyes with excitement when he saw what he saw in his dream. Everyone looked curiously at Goku, who was descending, and the glow disappeared. Issei. Aniki, said the one impressed by his new appearance. Everyone was surprised. Goku's muscles had shrunk, his clothes were now a brighter color, his hair as well as his eyes became a pinkish red color. Piccolo. What do you say, Dend? He has achieved it, he said, looking at the Kami-sama of this land, who only confirmed with a smile that he passed it on to Piccolo. Plaus. Beerus along with Whis went down to where Goku was, while he applauded. Bills. The wait was worth it. Goku. Beerus-sama, I'm very sorry for the delay, he said while smiling, but now let's have the battle that I want so much. The battle will be the same as Dragon Ball Super. Vegeta. Kakarot. He lost, he said without leaving the impression, so that Issei stood in front of everyone. What are you doing? You won't be able to face a god, said the Saiyan prince to Issei, who just ignored him. You're crazy. It's just that want to die, he shouted at the third pure blood Saiyan. Issei. Aniki lost, but that won't stop me from protecting the planet that welcomed him, he said, so that his aura changed to one that looked like fire, surprising Vegeta and everyone including Goku. That's why I will also become a god, he shouted with all his fury, so that the same red glow that Goku had appeared again, so that when it faded everyone would see Issei, with red hair, like his eyes, while a flaming aura surrounded him. Rias. Impressive, he said with a smile, I hope you give me a good fight. Issei. And that's not all, he said, so that the aura changed to a red tone. Demon God, he whispered, so that a stronger glow surrounded him. His clothing on his torso was torn, leaving his chest exposed, where he had tribal marks in the shape of wings, just like on each shoulder. His eyes went from red to blue, and his hair stood up slightly, so that Beerus's smile would grow. Now the fight begins. Beerus-sama, he said, rising into the sky. Beerus. I like your attitude, boy, he said, also rising. Let another battle between gods begin, he said to rush towards Issei, who also did the same. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.